The biggest game of the week on paper was Michigan and Texas. You had College Game Day in Ann Arbor. You had Big Noon Kickoff in Ann Arbor. I just don't have a lot to say with this game when we're talking about the actual football that was played. And I'll explain why. It's just because when we talk about the winner with Texas and how they won this football game, it's a good win. Objectively, to go into Ann Arbor and beat a Michigan team that just came off a national championship, if you just read that headline, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is a marquee, monumental win for Sarkisian. And I'm taking it a step back because that's like saying, like, think about TCU when they lost to Colorado week 1 just last year. They were the runner-up for the national championship. Objectively, that's just not the same team. Now, I'm not saying one for one TCU and Michigan are the same talent level, because I know Texas fans are going to see this and go, oh, he's just being a biased A&M fan. Aggies are going to Aggie. Not what I'm saying at all. You can also agree that this Michigan team, and I said it going into this season, was just not going to be the same team at all. I think the play style that they wanted to run on the offensive end takes a very specific game manager type of quarterback. That's what J.J. McCarthy did at a very high level, and he also had the mobility to extend plays on third down. That was like his, gem. That was his superpower, was when Michigan wasn't able to, move the ball running it on the first 2 downs, or if they got in a situation with a 3rd and long, J.J. McCarthy was poised in the pocket and was able to either be very decisive downfield or run the ball. And Warren or Orji clearly are not the answers at quarterback. We haven't seen a ton of Orji, but clearly if they're not feeling confident with him being on the field, he's not going to be the answer. I don't think so, because his play style does not match up with anything that J.J. McCarthy wants outside of running the football. And then Warren is a system quarterback who's just not that special. I love his story. I think it's fantastic, but it's not enough. It's not enough to beat a Texas team that's really damn good. It'd be one thing if we thought Texas had some concerns about going into an away environment and winning. We saw it last year when they went to Tuscaloosa and beat Nick Saban in Alabama. So there's not questions there of whether or not Quinn Ewers can show up in a big moment in an away environment. There's no questions there. There might have been questions about Texas's running ability, and it looked good. And I think just Texas looked like the team that can match up with a top-tier physical Big Ten team. The one thing I'll disagree with Texas fans on, outside of just maybe they're overhyping this win, I think Michigan was overrated, and that's just my personal opinion going into the season. It's not like hindsight after them playing. I'm like, oh, Michigan was overrated, I guess. No, I thought this team was not as good as people thought they were on paper as a top 10 team. I think they're still a good team, just not top 10. Texas cannot sit here and try to tell me that they're going to easily beat the last year Michigan team. Not with this team, but like last year, if say they beat, Washington and we're in the national championship and they would have wiped Michigan. That's weird. I saw Kieran tweet it. Ignore that. That's why. I hate the hypothetical game in that sense. But I just don't have a lot of takeaways. I know we've talked about this matchup a lot, but objectively, I don't feel better or worse about Texas. They clearly are a top 3 team in the nation. They look really good. I know I was like a little bit lower on Texas, but I want to see how they play against Georgia. I want to see them, clap back against Oklahoma after losing last year. So there's still questions I have about Texas. I don't think it's all answered in this Michigan game. It's still a great win. I just wouldn't take away too much information from this matchup specifically.